Welcome back to Play Week 6 here in the WGL EU. We are now into our final game of the evening. And of course, this one has been a little bit quick just because of that previous game where Virtus.pro decided they wanted to win by a landslide, which they kind of did. Yeah, 5-0 scoreline for Virtus.pro. Picking up Ruhenberger, then Himmelsdorf was just one round for them there, also managed to win it. First game of today as well, Utopia, Ding versus Kazaku was pretty one-sided as well. Kaza won that 5-2, so it's been a pretty quick day so far. But I think this one might slow down a little. I agree. Utopia up against WUSA could maybe provide a slightly closer game, or at least we hope so. WUSA, previously renowned for how good they can be, have really struggled this season, not really quite getting off to the start they wanted. Whereas Utopia actually doing quite well. Yeah, sitting in 4th place at the moment, being pretty consistent, getting some good wins under their belt. But, you know, I hope that WUSA's got themselves in line a little bit here. I mean, their loss against Tornado Rocks, which I mentioned before the break, was pretty significant. But I think they're a team who've got enough good players in that team that they can actually bounce back from that and possibly even win against Utopia. Well, let's find out very soon. But before we do, Melly, if the people at home want to get involved just quickly with this, folks, I know these two teams do have quite a big fan base. How can they do so? Absolutely. Twitch chat already formed their position behind WUSA and are chanting the names if we could hear Twitch chat, God beware. And of course, the vote has already started. So people, if you haven't voted yet, head over to our Facebook page /WGLEU and get your votes. And currently it's 60% for Utopia. And maybe this will change, maybe not. Both teams are pretty close to each other, in my opinion. Tell me what you think about it. Use the hashtag WGLEU to tell me what's on your mind. How do you think this map will go? Which is Himmelsdorf, actually. Yeah, Himmelsdorf first coming up. It's going to be a pretty good game, I think. I think this may be a little bit more defining of these two teams, a really good way to display who's in good form. Where's your prediction here, Ollie? On paper, I'll give it to Utopia. I mean, they've won every single match this season, apart from that one against Ding, whereas WUSA's in a 3-match losing streak right now. So it technically should be Utopia's. And also, Himmelsdorf and Ghost Town are 2 maps today. Just statistically, Utopia are better on. Well, let's see if they can go against the stats here. Let's see if WUSA can find a little bit of that magic that certainly sat with them in the previous game. But still, the teams are almost ready. I think they're just going to take a little bit of a second to get themselves back and prepared in this one. But still, I'm just kind of curious as to how good they can be here. It's all in WUSA's plate in my eyes. Considering all the stats point towards Utopia, it has to be down to WUSA to make the first moves. Yeah, I mean, you know, when you look at the... if you look at the stats, I mean, we're on to Himmelsdorf, where WUSA's only won 33% of the time on the attack, which is where they'll be going first. And Utopia, you know, they do a lot better on the defensive side with about 57%. So I don't know. It's always going to be hard. I mean, 75% even, you know, on the defensive side. Both of them actually have the similar kind of attacking round stats. But in my opinion, this has to be a reason why, first of all, Himmelsdorf's pick, which is Utopia's pick. I mean, you can see why they're maybe confident on this map, but WUSA saw the kind of results they've had against Ding, for instance, you know, Mercy, how good Utopia has been against those teams on Ghost Town. They've seen what they're doing and they're picking that map purposely. Now, we've seen that in the past, and it's more like, okay, so we see what Utopia does in their tactics. What can we do to counter that? Well, it's a big question. Is WUSA the team that can actually counter, though? They're a team that seems to struggle on their own accord, let alone playing to the kind of weakness of others and trying to exploit that. You look at teams like Virtus.pro, of course they can do this. They do that week in and week out. Kazna showed it today as well in the first game. They saw, okay, well, look at how, you know, Ding played Lakeville before. Here's how we predict what they're going to do. Here's how we counter it. So if WUSA can maybe find that sort of caliber play in this, especially in Ghost Town, if it gets to that point, maybe there's going to be a game here, but it's all down to WUSA in my eyes. It's got to be their game to win. They've got to maybe, you know, just try and make the plays themselves. Make themselves, you know, into something a little more than they've been thus far in this season, because it's been a little disappointing. Yeah, for sure. I mean, WUSA obviously, you know, they went to the Season 5 finals, did pretty well there. Not the greatest result in the world, but they were pretty consistent. Stay in Season 4, pretty consistent there. Narrowly missed out on a grand final spot. Of course, Kazaku picked that one up. But, I mean, been very good. But the thing is, I have no reason why WUSA should be doing worse this season. The only big difference is that FKK Schnitzler's left. I mean, he's a good player. But he shouldn't be the linchpin of an entire team. It shouldn't be a linchpin. And, of course, you know, you look at the players. They've got Lucentia and Spoink, Ruffy,
Ruffy, Stefan, Siege, De Plunkett, De Zenichter. I mean, De Zenichter came over from TCM. He's just as good as a player as FKK Schnitzel.
100%.
We know the top damage leader for TCM for a long time, so there shouldn't be a disparity in the results they're seeing right now. There must be a reason for it. I'm not sure what.
It may be an internal issue that we just may not know about. That's the thing. There's so many teams that could be suffering that, but still, hopefully they can pull themselves together here and towards the later part of the season actually find their footing. And Melly, you know, WUSA used to have a really big fan base out there. Have you seen any difference, you know, with the way they're interacting with their community this time, or the community not so ready to vote for them so quickly?
I mean, it seems like WUSA gotten a bit quieter than the last seasons. They're not so vocal anymore. They really in Twitch chat. There used to be a lot in there the past seasons, and of course on they have no social media appearances, which makes it also hard. Single players do have, of course, but there is nothing that kind of holds up the WUSA flag. And that makes it maybe hard to gain maybe new fans to show themselves on a big market of Gold Series teams and all. And that might be the reason.
Yeah, I think it could be, but hopefully they do get some support if they start picking up these victories. They definitely need it here.
Yeah, now, and with the last loss?
Exactly, it's even harder. They need to break it pretty soon. They need to get out of that losing streak. Otherwise, they're kind of done for. But still, if you're going to predict a scoreline, Ollie, what are you going to say here? All in all, I'll just say
I think a 5-3 for UTOPIA.
You think it's going to be that close, though?
But again, I've got that funny feeling I had yesterday on Tuesday about Penta, where I kind of felt like they had enough losses that they are in that position where they can actually win. So it could be a close one.
Well, hopefully it's time for them to actually turn up and turn around those results. We are live into the game. Apologies, there was a little bit of delay in UTOPIA. Hello. That's a little different. All right. Ollie, do you want to take me through this one?
Good old Carnivore, picked up by Team Supreme for the first time on Ruinberg as a kind of auto-aim tank, you know. The top plate of that one is an absolute beast, 1.6k HP. Not the greatest gun in the world. Kind of doesn't really do much against the IS-3s, like nothing basically. Same as the Pershing. But, you know, it could still work out. WUSA going pretty aggressive at the beginning. I mean, as I said before, typically not a team that has done really that well on Himmelsdorf. Only 33% of the wins right now. 3 wins out of a total of 9 times on the attack, and that's looking bad against UTOPIA with 75% win ratio on the defense. Yeah,
I'm a little worried on this one, but where do you see that kind of being played? Where do you see its positioning kind of working towards? What sort of place will it hold here?
The T-37?
No, Muka in the kind of...
Well, he looks like he's going into that position where it's basically to defend from that zero line push, which is exactly what WUSA are doing. We saw this on Tuesday as well, but it obviously didn't work out too well for the last team against Team Supreme. Now, it depends really. Now, McMoney has to get a few shells here. Carnivore bouncing one onto Rufi's front plate and another one coming out for McMoney.
Yeah, shell does come through though. In the end, Muka does get knocked down a little bit. He's down to 1.2k here. And Rufi does, Stefan and De Plunkett making the way forward. Wilk and McMoney in good position. That T-37 will be absolutely decimated, but it will provide some cover. But actually, what? McMoney did it for himself. He just takes down his own teammate. Maybe a little quick on the trigger there.
Carnivore's using the tiny gun. It's basically doing nothing. Obviously, to try and get the reset, McMoney gets chunked down, and does a Nicta, does finish him off.
Oh god, this could be a disaster already. I don't know what to make of this. WUSA starting off well, and Muka just not able to do much, really. As you said, he's doing absolutely nothing here.
Yeah, he's basically doing no damage at all. I mean, to be fair, it is adding up pretty quickly, and Ruffy does go low, but you can see that support from UTOPIA has arrived.
UTOPIA need to put back the pieces here. They've lost so much so early on. Shock is now surrounded, but he does get at least a little bit of support from Muka. Bishu finds Rufi, and now Shock 1v3. He's surrounded all front. Spoink is even trying to overmatch against Papa here, and this is going backwards and forwards, but the HP is still in favor to WUSA.
I would say WUSA's really in the driving seat right now. You can see Muka doing as much as he can with a 3 seconds reload from that Carnivore, and he's in a great position. Basically hull down, nothing can penetrate him, but it's still 5 versus 3, and UTOPIA, they don't have that burst damage to really deal with WUSA right now.
No, they don't, but they're running out of numbers, WUSA, but nice little bit of damage going through. Muka's down to a 1-shot now. This should be light-ish work, but Hunter's having none of it. He wants to get involved in this battle here. He's not going to let his teammate go down for nothing, but this could be a bit dangerous. This could be a little bit short-sighted, going to a 1v2 situation to try and bail out Muka. Let's see, that 5100 is en route round the back. That could change things here. Nice work from Muka. Hunter looking for the shot. Nice play comes out. How are they allowed to do this? Mooka still with a shell, damaging up Stefan, but Stefan does manage to take him down. Now 2v3. This is going backwards and forwards. What on earth is going on here?
Well, those 250-100s were off reload. That's the problem. Now Hallucination and Spike are going in.
This should be an easy overmatch, and it is. Bishu gets absolutely mowed down now. Hunter 1v2. 320 on Hallucinogen. 283 on Spoink. He could do something here. He's on a lot of twos. 2.22k. 2,222. But he could maybe pull something off here. But this would take some real genius.
Well, the thing is, you know, he has 11-second reload, so Hunter will be able to make one shell. He'll kill either he'll kill one of those 5100s, but then it'll be game over. I mean, one of the 5100s will be able to get a shell. He might bounce it because it'll be a snapshot, but the other one will be able to get 2 shells, and Hunt's sword will be dead. So he's got to get in a position where he can kill a tank and get enough of a reload that you know, the 2 shells won't be able to penetrate, or won't be able to get close enough to actually do the damage. And he's found that position perfectly, and that's really thanks down to the 5100's reload that's really left those IS3s in such a dire situation.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough task here, but they're turning tail now. They've got a lot of time to work with. They don't need to go towards him at this point. Yes, they are on the attack, but it's not just the northern cap as an option. There is still the one in the west that they could maybe look toward if they need to. But it looks as though they're just taking their time here.
Now they're going back to where they were before. Now this is the perfect position for Hunterzord to actually make the play. And if they go for this, WUSA will be in trouble, but they are going to get the cap underway, and that's going to force Hunterzord to go forwards. The thing is, you know, Hunter could just, he could circle around, find an angle, take one of these tanks out with just a nice peek, and then move on to the rest. This is a scary play from WUSA, and he's just going to do that.
Let's see if he's going to be smart about it, actually. As you said, he can find a good angle here. Now, he knows roughly where they are. That's the thing. And they're not too aware. Now, they might have got a good bit of an idea this time.
This is nice from the two AIMWIX 5100s. They knew by putting themselves in the cap that it would force Hunterzord to make the move in that IS3. Now, they're going to set up for whatever they can. And Hunter, the only way I really see him doing this is actually going hull down, but he's been spotted.
He has indeed. He's got a touch of cover. He does take down Hallucinogen, but now this is the problem. He's got Spoink hot on his tail. Oh, Spoink doesn't get the shot off. Hunter's got 3 seconds. There's a first. He needs to get this next shell. Oh, but it's too little too late. Spoink closes it down, and WUSA pick up round 1, but that was a little bit too close.
That was a scrappy battle I've ever seen one. I mean, you could see this time. We've seen this time and time again. The problem with those two 5100s, if they're on reload at the most awkward situation possible, when your 2 IS3s are going 3 versus 2, you know, you get into a situation where you have 2 5100s on reload with basically no HP. You have 2 IS3s that are getting soloed, and you can't do anything about it. So, you know, great play by UTOPIA to get into that fight. A bit of a questionable decision from the Carnivore, in my opinion. I mean, picking a weird gun on that one. I think it's like the 2 or the 4 pounder. But yeah, I mean, Spoink missing that last shell and making it a little bit too close for comfort, but yeah, it was WUSA's game.
It was. But let's take a little look back at how that started to unfold, of course. But yeah, as to that choice of tank, the Carnivore on there really not doing a great deal.
Pretty funny because it did 2.5k damage.
What?
The most damage out of every tank in the team.
Surprising. So yeah, what was it actually using there? Because you said it really stood out to you.
Yeah, I think it was using one of the pounder guns. I'm not exactly sure what it's called because I didn't ever expect it to be picked up, to be honest. But I think it's the 20 pounder. Yeah, I think it's a 20 pounder. No, not even that. It can't be that because it wouldn't be able to do so much damage. Yeah, it's not even that. It's a 17 pounder. A tiny tier 6 gun.
Why would you go for that?
13.3 rate of fire. 3 seconds reload. That is insane, basically.
Okay. Well, I guess it served its purpose to a degree, but then what went wrong elsewhere? Because that seemed to not be just pinned towards that tank, but everything else just seemed to fall by the wayside.
Yeah, well, WUSA could get the overmatch with the 3 IS3s. They could push forwards, go around, and actually take down some of the tanks there on the side. And, you know, because UTOPIA are all the way far back, just not engaging, they basically let that tank go down, let it die, and that was the real problem. I made a massive mistake by the time I joined the battle with the tank, so we have to restart this one. I'm sorry, lads. I get a lot of abuse in chat, so let's just swiftly go over this one.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate Ollie's ignorance. Just a second. Look at that face, the face of shame. Look how shamed he is.
I'm gonna solo these guys.
Yeah, you're just gonna one on like 10 them basically by the end of it.
Exactly.
Just take a few teammates down with you.
Back to Garage Boys.
Oh, Ollie. What did you join with? What did you go for, mate?
Panzer IV Alpha.
Oh, nice. Really new meta going for there.
Nice one, yeah.
Good
it's
job,
the worst tank ever. But yeah,
but you
still would have been
out.
easy against Utopia. Yeah. It's pretty similar reload to the 17-pounder used on the Carnivore.
Harsh.
But yeah, we have to go back to battle. This was my fault. Throw as much abuse as you want at me. After WOT if you want to.
He's even plugging his Twitter off a mistake. How disgraceful is this?
Maybe even throw some towards, they called me Pansy and Nelly with a 3. I'm just going to press spectator for this one. There we go.
Yeah. Although you've not opened chat this time, you're like, no, I don't want to see what they're saying.
No, I'm not opening chat. There's no point in that one. Just get views. It wears me down slowly but surely, you know. Mentally fatigues me.
So he does cry at the end of most evenings. Just weeps.
My wrists, you know.
They get a little sore, I guess, from wiping the tears away from your eyes.
Exactly.
And that's about it. But still, we are just waiting on the teams to get themselves back into place, as Ollie did disrupt them.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ollie.
Sorry.
Once again, shout out to Laughter WOT. Nothing funny about his errors, just sadness. The teams were so focused.
There should be an automated system. When you go back into the battle, you should go to the spectator, you should go to the tank you were last on, but it went back to my Panzer.
Oh no, it's the worst.
It's been reported before. But anyway...
So it's Wargaming's fault, not yours?
It's not my fault, boys.
Oh, okay.
Never my fault.
Thanks, Wargaming.
So yeah, we're ready. I'm going to type ready, just so let these boys know.
They'll really appreciate that again. Keep talking to them, Ollie. They'll be very, very pleased.
Yeah. Thanks, Noob. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, first round, pretty close. But to be honest, I mean, WUSA do look good right now. I mean, a few mistakes on their part, but I think, you know, Mooka doing 2.5k and Utopia still losing shows that they're maybe not so good this time.
Well, let's see if they can pull it together for their go at it this time, as Ollie decided he didn't want to play this time, which is very kind of Ollie. Sometimes he likes to pretend he's just
It would be interesting to actually maybe just play a game and seeing, you know, the reactions. Yeah. It'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah? Just one game?
Just one game. Yeah, I think that would be good. We should try that once. Maybe like a fun match or something.
Oh, there's no fun in playing games. You'll be taking it seriously. You'll be very, very angry if it all goes wrong.
Slamming, punching the desk.
Yeah, you'll turn into Melly, basically. Yeah. It's a very angry gamer. It's quite scary.
Walls have been damaged.
They have been. But anyway, into the game we go. And Ollie this time has made it to Spectator. We are proud of you here. And WUSA on the attack again, and Utopia on the defense. Yeah,
so same lineups from both teams. Carnivore, the only unusual choice from Utopia, which worked out very nicely. Good forward thinking by Utopia, nice positioning from them. And yeah, we're seeing a pretty similar start here from WUSA with sending 2 tanks up the hill. But the rest of them going down the western side. There's no tank in the middle for Utopia, so they won't spot that one. So it looks like WUSA just want to switch it up to the second normal kind of tactic, which looks like the west side push.
Wow, I'm just choking here, like similar to Ollie's tank skills, but 6 minutes on the board. Woo.
It's alright, I choked on Tuesday as well.
That's true, and you did have a moment. But yeah, as said, nothing too crazy coming out just yet. This looks quite like your standard Himmelsdorf, but is just about avoiding a shell coming out from. I think that might have been Papa over there.
It's good to see Papa actually playing the IS-3, because really in the beginning of the season he was always in the lower tier tanks, and Wicked was actually in the higher tier tanks, and people were like, wait a minute, Papa's really good at this game. He was good in the artillery, he's good in the MT-25, he's good in the T-37. Let's give him a bigger tank, and he seems to be working out well for them.
Yeah, and once again going for the Carnivore, what do you make of that, doing it 2 times in a row?
Oof. Nice damage onto Spike straight away. So at the moment, you know, Utopia just sitting back, getting all the defensive lines drawn, and WUSA setting up a pretty standard setup for them. The G line, just trying to maybe get some early peaks out, do some damage from the hill, which to be honest would be okay, but they have to sit there. I think 2 50-100s would need to be up there, and then they could actually take down Papa, take anything down on the D line.
Yeah. Looking at the way this is playing out, it looks really standard to the old Himmelsdorf to me, almost kind of the polarizing map that comes through here. Just the IS-3 pushed up maybe towards that western side is a little different, of course, on the one line. However, we are seeing the retraction back from the hill now. 5100, we join the ranks of the others, and it looks like they're kind of gathering together, possibly for that western side play.
It does, slowly but surely. Does Inix get spotted again? The thing is, you know, Utopia's got that IS-3 in F1. Good support there with the 5100s as well, but typically, if you have an IS-3 in F1, you need to have the 5100s in A1, A2, A3 to provide a good amount of support. And, you know, Utopia have an inkling that WUSA will be coming from, I think, the 8 line because they got the Carnival in there. Nothing as well has been spotted actually heading along the K line. So at the moment, Utopia aren't particularly well set up for a push from WUSA along the western side.
No, they're not, which is quite surprising, but here we go. See, Spoink, Hallucinogen, Stefan all making the cross, and there's no one there to really do damage towards them. Sure, Hunter might spot this out, which he does. One shell comes in. But Stefan continues to move on, and they will get west side dominance pretty darn soon.
Yeah, I think one shot is to be expected. Not a lot of damage, but WUSA being pretty aggressive pushing forward. Shuku takes a max hit from that IS-3 gun, 488. And that's going to be painful for him. Yeah,
not exactly what you want. And they have started up that western cap now. The IS-3 still in play. Shock is really getting hammered down here. I think that's Stefan landing another towards him. And there's nowhere to run for this guy. He seems to be the magnet for all of these shells so far.
And he's still spotted. I mean, WUSA, they just don't have him in render range to actually be able to hit him, I don't think. But this is really good from WUSA. They're ahead now in HP. They've done good damage to single targets, so they can actually take them down, and single targets can't really peek too much. So they're set up well. Caps started. Now the typical move from the defending team right now would be to send tanks along the G line, you know, pushing through the middle, trying to get around the side, or maybe even that T-37 will be able to make that move itself.
Yeah, Duplucket and Durs there just doubling up a little bit, withstanding. And the cap has been halted, but they're doing great damage elsewhere. Certainly making it hard work for Utopia right now, as Hunter does get at least some support in the cross. Hallucinogen takes a hell of a lot as Hunter still in place, hasn't been overmatched just yet. It does always seem like a matter of time here, but with a Carnivore and an IS-3 in the background behind him, he might be able to survive, but the side scrape doesn't quite pay off. 2 shells back to back now coming through. He's getting hammered down here.
Great work by Hallucinogen. I mean, Hunter Sword should be winning this exchange all day of the week, but right now Hallucinogen hitting all the shells, but such low damage rolls from him.
Almost unfortunate, but there we go. Shock finally gets his own back, but it's a 1-for-1 trade here. Stefan will take him down, and once again that cap gets started. Hunterzor
versus Stefan. I mean, Stefan's on reload right now, so Hunterzor's trying to do the 1 versus 1, but does he realize that there's a Nictus in the background with a 5100?
Ooh. Here we go, Stefan down to a 1-shot. Nice play from Hunter. Hunter's played really nicely here, even though he took so much damage earlier on.
Yeah, great play there, and Stefan getting caught the better of. That's a 2-for-1 exchange. Utopia now quite comfortably ahead, and Papa takes care of Siege, so this is going really well for Utopia, and that clock is in favor for them.
Yeah, they now need to just keep their eyes on those IS-3s that are still by that cap circle. Don't let them run away with this. Wheelk there, playing quite smart, just occasionally peering out, keeping tabs on these guys, but he has to be cautious. There's a 5100 further down towards the south who could cause a problem for him, but still. This cap continues very tentatively as WUSA are dwindling in numbers.
Yeah, this is looking like bad news for WUSA. I mean, they're not out of this game yet, but they're just getting caught out. You know, they were winning all those exchanges at the beginning. Now they're losing them all. And, you know, have to give it to Hunterzord for making it all happen. And I say that the Plunkett gets found by him, and, you know, needs to Nichter and Rufy and Spoink left in the battle. 3 tanks versus 6. And
they're not really in a position to do much here. It doesn't seem they can get any crossfire built up, but Bishu struggling to connect a little bit. Rufy on the receiving end, down to 200 HP, well, 281, but Durs now is going to be joining in that same sort of boat here. Lovely crossfire comes out again. Sure, Muka got down Durs. You saw the 1-for-1 exchange, but it's all Utopia bringing this one to a close. Spoink now last man alive. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. He's on the attack, bearing in mind. And they took the full time here and got very little done.
Yeah, game over. It will be 1-all right now as Utopia do manage to hang on for a decent defensive side.
Yeah, they just looked solid. It looked a little dangerous at the start when, who was it who got caught out?
Shuku.
Is it Shuku or Shock?
No idea. It's got you at the end, so Shock you. Shock you. That'll do.
Sure, that guy. He got caught out quite a fair bit at the start, and he got had to back away, had to reset the fight, and then they started to really turn it in their favor. What kind of aided that? Was it Hunter being able to stay alive so long?
It was 100% down to Hunter. I mean, he was just there on his own, holding it against Hallucinogen, holding against Stefan, And because he had that Carnivore of Muka in the background, it looked like Stefan and Lucengen were really scared of going forwards and actually taking him down. But they needed to do that.
Yep.
He basically soloed Siege, he basically soloed Lucengen, he basically soloed Stefan. So that was just a game over for them. They lost control of that cap, and you could see it was easier for Utopia just to push around.
It certainly was, and it just worked out so well. The crossfire's coming in. How much damage did the Carnivore do that time?
Carnivore didn't do much, 492 there, which is, you could have considered, I think those two tanks should have pushed against Hunter Sword there. But you can see Hunter Sword, 2.6k damage that last round, and really the highest damage dealer for WUSA was Zanisha with 1.2k. So just a very flaccid round from WUSA. But to be fair, one attacking round is not bad right now for them. 1-1, fair enough. They got pretty close, just some pretty basic mistakes for them cost them this one.
Yeah, a 1-for-1 is absolutely fine. I wouldn't say that maybe Utopia are pleased with that, but they brought it back well into round 2. Now the switch to the side comes into place. It's kind of back up in the air. It kind of throws things out of kilter again because you don't know who's going to be turning up with what. We saw quite a ingenious play, let's say, with the Carnivore, not having the biggest impact, but it's something new. It's something they're clearly trying out, which isn't a bad idea for Utopia. But then again, on their attack, they're going to have to switch things up here. Yeah,
they have to try new things. As I said before, both teams with 33.3% recurring win ratio on the attacking side. So, I don't know. Will Utopia be able to actually, bring something out here where they can actually win on the attacking side? I'm not so sure. WUSA, defensive wins 55, 57%. It's okay from them. Not as good as Utopia's, but I have to see, of course. I think, Utopia is going to be aggressive along that 8 line. I think they're going to go for the peaks, going to go for the exchanges. They got a lot of experience in that team, and that's really where they excel.
Well, let's hope so. Utopia certainly do have what it takes to go further. They are a team who've put themselves well within the top 6, so they should be able to convert that into something far more substantial. So you guys at home have been voting away, I can imagine. We'll check in with that any second. Melly, do you have hiccups?
No, I'm good.
Just coughing away there.
Yeah? I thought you had hiccups. I thought it was going to be much funnier. How are the votes going, by the way?
It's still in Utopia's favor. 58%, haven't changed much from the beginning. It was 60%. So teams are, the audience are still waiting for the team's performance to kind of balance out those votes or go more in one way. Nobody knows yet. And in Twitch chat, they're just chanting the team names, being all happy. WUSA, Utopia, nothing much. Do something exciting, Twitch chat.
Kappa spam.
Don't
Dance
say
party.
that word. Don't say Kappa.
Bible thump.
No.
Kipo.
You can't just say words.
PJ Salt.
Those aren't just words.
They are just words.
No.
Yeah.
You're just a word. All right. We are almost ready to get back underway in game. And thank you once again for the update, Melly. And thank you for me allowing a second to really get chat riled up into useless content. That's what I'm here for. I am play-by-play. Anyway, side switch is coming in. Let's see what they've got going on here. 25100's coming out for WUSA there. And only 1 for Utopia. So Utopia trying out a couple of new things. We've got the, the damage dealer back in play.
Yeah, we have got the damage dealer back in play, and I do like it. Always a fun tank to watch. We saw that on Tuesday as well. Double, I think it was 2 from Strong, if I'm not mistaken.
It might have been something like that.
Yeah, 2 from Strong, I think it was, and it just cancelled out a couple of the tanks.
Yeah.
When they played Team Supreme. I'm not sure exactly on that one, but the MT25 pretty fast, really fast actually. It's a great little tank, and shame it actually managed to nab out the T50-2, my favorite tank of all time, but still a worthy replacement. As it looks like Utopia setting up for a western side push, being very aggressive, and to be fair, that's a good shout because WUSA haven't got anything in that EF area.
And that's kind of surprising. It's become a real mainstay, seeing an IS-3 at least sat towards there, if not joined by others down by maybe A1 or supported at that train station. Why would they leave that completely open?
Maybe because they consider they can actually reset without that position. They got a Lucinogen who's setting up for really a far right side push. It does look like WUSA's very scared that with that Borsig, that really is going to be a hard thing for them to do, to actually secure that right side, because the damage that goes around the corner will be insane. But now Vitlion heading over towards there. Now WUSA just reacting immediately to try and take down Wicked. And to be fair though, UTOPIA has great crossfire. They have great positions behind him to actually provide support, but they are spotted, so WUSA does have the information advantage.
As well, the IS-3s pushing down that A line have just been spotted as well. That's going to cause a bit of a chain reaction here. Papa's going to at least take one shot, and Shock's going to have to make these count here. Rufy, Stefan, all starting to roll into the action. There's a 5100 behind them, but it's a long way off on that hill, and now they're going to have to deal with the overmatch here. Papa is on the front lines. He's got backup though. Potomako is there. Hunter as well in a shot fly, but none connecting. These IS-3s are closing in.
And also Rufy and Stefan now hold down. This is a perfect situation for them, but they are going to go for Papa. But look, you got the 5100 behind them.
Oh, brilliant crossfire comes in. Rufy's down to a one shot here almost, and look at this, the 5100 finally makes it into place, and Deplucket is on the receiving end. Oh, a little bit of damage comes back, but Papa did find Rufy in the end, and this is looking much better for UTOPIA.
This is going super badly for WUSA. That 5100 position was an absolute beast, and it really does highlight the importance of keeping control over the hill. And really strange from WUSA they used 3 IS-3s. I mean, one 5100 would have done a whole load of good in there in terms of just directional firepower, but UTOPIA clearly in the driving seat. Wicked behind that building. You know, they just need to keep those IS-3s at bay, which they are.
Yeah, they're doing very nicely there, and Potomako even extending a little. Papa's going to go in for the fight here. Hunter as well, just nudging Papa forward, and Papa will deliver. Once again, MVP Papa back in the building, ladies and gents. 4 players down for WUSA. Potomako finds Deplucket, as once again that cap continues, but actually gets reset.
Yeah, it gets reset, but this is pretty much game over. UTOPIA are really winning by an absolute landslide, and has a super low damage roll, but he's using the 15 centimeter there, so not too low actually. I thought he was using the bigger one. So Dezanictum and Vitlion trying to take down Muka. Yeah,
Muka is outnumbered here, and he might just have a shot to make if he's a lucky boy here. And he does at least make it count. Will go down, but Vitlion will have a shell available before he can back away. And there we go. Vitlion picks it up in the T-32, but here comes the cavalry. A little late, but better than never as Vitlion and Hallucinogen, the last 2 alive.
Yeah, game over for Vitlion, game over for WUSA. Hallucinogen on 23 seconds of reload, so he can't provide support. Potomako will find his second kill, I believe, of this matchup. But again, Hallucinogen still got plenty of time on the reload and also 1 shot. Still 2 misses.
Nice job, guys. There we go. Bishu gets it, and it's 2-1 to UTOPIA, picking up a nice round there. A really good Western play, and surprisingly, it was the factors that came into mind were almost the things that I kind of were worried about. So that 5100 up on that hill on the east, you know, towards the Himmel. I was a little bit worried it wouldn't be able to get back down in time to really support the IS-3s, but of course there's that almost break in the wall that you can create the crossfire through, and it worked out well for them.
Exactly. You know, I think when WUSA crested that corner with the 3 IS-3s and they saw the 5100 of Bishu behind just sniping them, and they were like, game over. It was game over for WUSA. Losing 3 IS-3s. Again, you know, WUSA had no information at all. They pushed this whole area just based on 1 IS-3 spot. They didn't know what was on the hill. They didn't really know what was anywhere else in where the Waffentrager was, and Bishu made light work of them. All in all, Amuka doing the highest amount of damage with 2.1k, and for WUSA, Deplucket with 1.5, respectable, but really not enough. And you could see how desperate those IS-3s were in terms of their position, as Rufy did 0 damage that battle.
Oh, wow. That is really quite grim. I didn't realize he didn't get even into the fight at all. But yeah, as we said, still 1 more round to go. Let's kind of just take an overall stock idea of how these 2 are performing. What do we make of UTOPIA so far? Because that round looked like the UTOPIA I expected at the start of the day, just a lot more well-rounded, a little bit better off. But do you think they can now replicate that into the final round? Or is WUSA actually looking decent enough here?
To me, it feels like WUSA are making the mistakes and beating themselves. Like, on that attacking round, they just screwed up against Hunter's Order. On that last round, just really weird push with the 3 IS-3s. Obviously trying to get the overmatch, go hull down. So I think those 2 rounds were given away by WUSA. But the one round where, you know, WUSA actually had to fight for it and UTOPIA had to fight for it as well, they won it. I think WUSA just needs to get back into that situation. But UTOPIA are so good at these set plays, it's just so hard to beat them.
They really are. But let's see if that comes through into the final round here on the first map, Himmelsdorf. So far, it's looking, you know, UTOPIA have the lead, but a 2-2 result would be something that wouldn't cause too many surprises. However, going in 2-2 to Ghost Town could really change things, as Ghost Town is quite the mainstay for one of these two teams, and it's certainly not WUSA. So let's find out how this one goes. If they go in with a deficit, it will be quite the blow here. So they need this round on the board to get it back to 2-2.
Yeah, so looking at the lineups, obviously you can see UTOPIA has gone back to their extra IS-3, the 5 IS-3s, the MT-25, with a nice substantial amount of hit points, and of course the two, the 150-100 played by Bishu. The man's a beast in the 50-100 in general. WUSA pretty much sticking to the same thing. I mean, it's Himmelsdorf. You just need a good mixture of the burst firepower from the AMX 50-100 and the IS-3 to provide that kind of alpha damage and armor.
God, they really are going aggressive, aren't they? The IS-3's just charging through the center of the map. Now, I don't know what to make of this. They're going to catch out an IS-3 here. Papa's really in trouble. I don't think Bishu can help him out at this point. And no one else can. Tell a lie. There we go. The IS-3s from the very southern point do at least get one shot in. Yeah,
just one shot into the plunket. Not really that much made. Wicked also received a shell there from Siege as they do go 1 versus 1. Nice little cross there, but again, Bishu's on that that top area. Now, WUSA needs to lock him down straight away. They need to keep him where he is.
That's a really good start. 603 damage going straight towards him. Going to cut him almost in half there. But Papa really not taking much damage from this. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more of a decisive counterplay coming out from UTOPIA. They seem a little cautious here.
UTOPIA, what they can do, right, they can just push the 8 line. The one problem they have is that they got Derzenicta to deal with in the AMX 50-100, I believe. But I don't know, I think they can do this one. Of course, UTOPIA's thinking, okay, so Bishu's being aimed on, he's being locked down. Really, all of our other plays got to be based on the fact that the whole of WUSA is aiming towards him. And Stefan, though, and Rufy just being a little bit quicker, you know, keeping UTOPIA at bay. And I see, you know, WUSA being in such a good position right now that they're winning the peaks, they're winning the engagements, they've drawn the battle lines, they kept UTOPIA on their back foot. It's going to be really hard for them to lose.
Yeah, bearing in mind UTOPIA are on the attack here, so they're the ones who have to be able to make the play. But with WUSA drawing those battle lines so far in front of them, it's going to be very difficult for them to break through. Just these 3 IS-3s are really doing quite an impressive bit of work. I'm kind of impressed here. I'm
surprised that really Siege and Wicked are going for this engagement. If I was Siege, I would have just gone to the hill. I mean, literally just gone to the hill and killed Bishu. I think he would have got the first shell for free. Siege has 600 HP. Average damage on the SA-47 is 300. So Siege should be able to take him down, or at least keep him busy, or put him into a position where the rest of the team can kill him. So a little bit surprised by that move, but maybe considering that they need that 1-3 line, as it looks like UTOPIA do feel the urgency to push forwards.
UTOPIA trying to take back some control, and it looks like Hunter Zord and Potomac are going to look for some shots here, but the crossfire and the focus fire is directly towards Hunter, who's going to take a hell of a lot of damage. Again, they're not doing great on this one, but they have at least equaled it up. Yeah,
that was actually a really good exchange for UTOPIA. They did a lot of damage, and Mucker and Bishu being in that position, they've caught out Stefan terribly.
Oh, Stefan's in trouble. He's down to almost a one-shot here. 286 HP left towards him. A little bit of damage comes back towards UTOPIA, but it's not substantial enough. And there we go. Muka will find Stefan, pull the numbers into favor towards UTOPIA. However, the HP is still so close.
Yeah, 3 minutes and 30 seconds for WUSA to hang on here. They've got a gun down at this point in time, but again, there's Derzenicta being in that great position. He's punishing Papa and Muka.
And they're so good in these sort of spots. Rufy's going to make the most of it. Misses.
No, he hits Muka.
Did he hit Muka? Yeah. Okay. Almost thought he missed Papa then, but Papa does make it out just about. He's down to about half HP as well, so not exactly in the best spot here. And it looks like UTOPIA are running out of ideas.
And Sisha's going 1 versus 1 against Wicked. He will definitely win that engagement, and he does. Finds him. That's really good for WUSA. They got complete control over that western side. They can send that T-37 down behind and start punishing UTOPIA from behind.
Yeah, Potomaco's just not really quite been in this fight yet. Here we go. He's going to start getting into this one. That T-32 going to be challenged down. And Hunter not too far behind him, but oh, Siege has to take a shell there, but he's buying time. These IS-3s are being worked down a little bit. Hallucinogen's coming in now. The Lion staying alive by a touch of HP, but a gun is still a gun, and it can still do the damage that is required at this point. Hallucinogen is dying to go around that corner. He wants to get the damage done, but we know those IS-3s can position so well here.
Derzenicta just came off reload. That's a really big factor now for WUSA. He can provide so much support and firepower to Rufy that he might just take a couple of kills.
Well, he might do just that, as Muka and Papa are so damn low. There we go. Does find Muka, and WUSA are keeping this one well within touching distance. But Lion will find Papa, leaving only 4 alive for UTOPIA, and they're really quite struggling here. Not much to do at this point, but Lion and Hallucinogen dying to get into the battle, but not quite getting the shots they need. But Siege is en route. So Siege is behind them, as Potomako does find Lion, and Hunter finds Hallucinogen.
That's what has brought it back then. Hallucinogen really screwed up that whole round pretty much. He's just got the timing off, the synchronization with his team off, and it's let UTOPIA really creep back in terms of hit points, and it's 4 versus 4, but again, 500 hit points in total in front for UTOPIA, and Sisha's stuck.
Yeah, Sisha's nowhere to run now, but he does at least get a shell on the way out, but 1 minute and 37 seconds. Bishu found Durs somehow. I'm so surprised he was able to get that kill. But still, Rufy and Plunkett, the position is known as well. This is the worst part. They can't even run away at this point. WUSA had everything in their favor, and I don't know how it fell to this point, but let's see if they can maybe pick something up. But we know what happens with IS-3s in this situation, especially when there's a 5100 just barreling down at you. It's going to be a matter of time, it seems, unless Plunkett and Rufy can do something magical. There's the first step towards it, but Rufy now is in severe trouble. And now 1v3, he gets put to bed by Hunter. And sadly for WUSA, I don't think they can blame anyone but themselves for that. They had such an advantage early to mid-game. It just seemed like it was all theirs.
Yep.
And UTOPIA could find no way back in. And then slowly it changed. What changed there for them?
I think C should have gone and you know, been a little bit more aggressive, actually put some pressure onto UTOPIA, but he didn't. I think the biggest problem there was Hallucinogen and Vitline just didn't play well. I mean, Vitline just, Hallucinogen was super scared. He didn't have the timings right on the IS-3. He didn't seem to realize what the reload of the IS-3 was. And you could see the two IS-3s making peaks against Vitline, and Hallucinogen being like, oh, only got 5 seconds, you know, I might die in this engagement. But he should be going around those corners, making those engage, getting at least one shot, 300 damage, and keeping those IS-3s at bay. But he didn't. He didn't get those peaks, and it cost his team dearly.
Let's have a little look back during that game at some of the moments there that just slowly but surely worked towards UTOPIA's favour. Because at this point, this was a nice peak actually from UTOPIA, as you pointed out.
Yeah, very nice peak. And this was really the first move they made. They got a lot of damage here. Plunkett went very low, and he gave them a little bit of breathing room. Now, Vitline did 2.3k damage in this battle. Hallucinogen did 1.2. But Plunkett and Stefan and Rufy, you know, being stuck in this position really only allowed them to do like 300 to 1,000 damage. Oh,
it's such a shame.
And I think, you know, Dozenicta should have done more in this situation. Right now, it's pretty even in terms of the gameplay, but when Stefan takes care of Wicked, I thought he would be able to poke and really annoy UTOPIA.
Because the guys, all of those tanks down that A-line did get so worked down for UTOPIA. They were down pretty low on HP. You saw it just being closed in towards the southern side of the central of this map. But I am still really shocked that WUSA let that slip. And the point being now, we go into map 2, which is going to be Ghost Town, if I'm not mistaken, which is 100% in favour towards UTOPIA.
Yeah, I mean, well, to be fair, I mean, WUSA chose Ghost Town and UTOPIA chose Himmelsdorf, so I'm not sure how that one's going to work, but we haven't seen WUSA on Ghost Town before. We've seen a 70% win ratio for UTOPIA on Ghost Town, so we got that disparity. But one thing I'll say about Ghost Town is that UTOPIA is seriously, I mean, they're one-dimensional team, really, anyway. They win on their own player skill. But, you know, WUSA knows what UTOPIA is going to do, and they've got a counter for it, clearly.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope they have some trick up their sleeve. Melly, it's looking a little dire for WUSA, a team that we're quite fans of in this office. They're lovely guys to see at the events, but it doesn't look like they're going to make it to events at this rate.
No, it seems like there is something wrong within the team spirit, within the team synergy maybe. Yeah. Egos clashing, probably. We don't know. We don't have access to their team radio. We can't hear what's going on in team matches and all, but it seems like WUSA isn't working as good as before. The machine must be oiled somehow, which is clearly not happening at this time. But people, if you have any idea, head over to Twitter and use the hashtag WGLEU to tell us what's maybe the reason. Maybe someone from WUSA is watching it. Tell us, boys, what's wrong? Where is that problem? Have you located it? Are you still looking for it? We want to know, because we like you and we love your team and we want you guys to do good. And yeah, the vote is clearly in favor for UTOPIA, which is actually right. I mean, 3-1 leading, going up to Ghost Town as the second map. People head over to Facebook and hand in your last votes, since we'll be going into a break, and after that the vote will stop. And as said, use the hashtag WGLEU to get involved, to tell us what's on your mind. And people, as said, the second map coming up in between WUSA and UTOPIA will be Ghost Town, and we will see you hopefully back after a short break.
Welcome back to the WGL EU. We are into what could be our final map of the evening here between Utopia and WUSA. So far, the first map on Himmelsdorf, it was one-sided, but the actual game didn't feel as though that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, Utopia obviously walking away with a 3-1 scoreline on Himmelsdorf, but I thought there were some interesting rounds from WUSA. They showed some real poise in some of their matches. A couple of mistakes from them cost them, though.
Yeah, there were some errors there that WUSA just seemed to really kind of, I don't know, slip on. I'm hoping that that's not the case going into the next map. Of course, it's something that we don't often see. It's Ghost Town becoming more of a regular mainstay within this league, and I've started to really enjoy the way it plays out. However, let's find out which of these two teams has all of their plans ready and getting almost into the action this time, as coming up next is Ghost Town.
Ghost Town. The first absolutely symmetrical map made especially for 7 versus 7 games. The teams start the battle on opposite sides. There are numerous ways to attack here. One of the bases is located in the central square, the other one at the top of the city. The hardest battles are usually fought for it, and this calls for the use of heavy tanks.
And as said, this is the new addition to this league. It's a wonderful map. And so far we've seen some teams truly excel on it and others shy away a little. However, Utopia 3-1 up here. Starting out on the attack, what do we see from them?
We see a pretty standard setup, heavy tanks and a couple of light tanks just to supplement them. But mostly heavy. Papa being the beast he is on Ghost Town, he's playing that 59-16. Don't think you really want to trust anyone else with that role. And same goes for WUSA. You know, we saw at the beginning of the season more T-54s, but I think the teams realize with such a small map, you don't really need any T-54s. And the fact that you got so much, you know, corners and so many buildings, it's really a city map. And that's where the IS-3s and 5100s excel. Now, Utopia on the attack, and of course WUSA on the defense. Utopia about 50% win ratio on the attack, very explosive. They love to play up to that northern area, and you can see WUSA is trying to counter that with a bit of a northern push.
Yeah, and a great spot. I think that was actually made by Papa then. Managing to spread out those about 3 IS-3s, I believe. So they kind of have a good idea as to where they're going, and already they're not going straight in for this cap. They're rolling straight on through, but Stefan and Hallucinogen do have the first shot towards them money, and not much came back from that.
A nice aggression from WUSA, just making the peaks, and Ufi does get caught out though, as Utopia really looking to go into the middle now. We've seen this 2 or 3 times before, and 2 or 3 times it's really not been successful. Yeah,
this central cap just doesn't normally suit teams. It's very hard to control every single angle on this. However, maybe Utopia's found a secret, found a way. We're going to have to find out, as already they're starting to take a little bit of damage, but they've dealt a hell of a lot back.
Yeah, what Utopia is trying to do is basically corner off a section of the map, so they can sit there, they can put their tanks at the cap, and Bishu finds a great killer there onto Vit line. But still, you know, WUSA can really start to close the net here.
WUSA should be able to do this. In this capping area, in this instance, they should have the advantage. And then again, we've seen WUSA throw away bigger leads than they have right now, and already the damage starting to pile up against them. They're slightly trailing in that area, but they can still put it back, bearing in mind Utopia are on the attack.
WUSA's pretty close in terms of hit points. I like this Utopia move, though. As I said before, they're really controlling a section of the map. They're not letting WUSA get the angles, not letting them get the peaks. And yes, Shuku's trying to make a few kills, but again, you know, Siege going down. He was the man that was actually in charge of decapping for most of this round. But the thing is, Bishu's on reload. That gives WUSA a little bit of an angle and a chance to actually get into this game. Yeah,
Bishu still had a shell, and he chose to reload at this point, so maybe assuming that they want to bring the game back a little closer at some point, but it does seem as though maybe Stefan and Hallucinogen have an idea that may be the case, but Papa in the background just keeping tabs on, keeping the spots coming out, trying to make sure there's no surprise plays from WUSA. 4.4k against the 4.3. Papa up towards the north now by that northern cap. Shots come back and forward. Plunkett does take 1. We're down to 20 seconds now.
Really curious to see what the move will be from WUSA. They were winning the exchanges for quite a long time, and now they're losing. And Bishu has got the reload in that 5100.
And he's going to a brilliant angle here. He's trying to make the plays out of this one. He's going to try and make the Plunkett fall for this. Let's see if he does, but Plunkett not so really going to fall for it. But it's Rufy who goes down first and foremostly. Bishu doing a great bit of work from the backside, and that is exactly what they needed. Hunterzorb finds 1, and now the remaining 3 for WUSA are in trouble. And this game just got flipped on its head as soon as we had that reload available and coming into place for Bishu, and my god did he make that one count. Now back on reload, he can't do much, but he can at least get the ram towards Sturs as Stefan, last man alive, gets swept aside by Papa, and once again showing why Utopia comfortable on this map.
Didn't really even lose a single tank there. I mean, really
Unreal.
good situational awareness. And as I said before, cornering off a section of the map, getting that kind of corner area in the middle, safe for the tanks that are actually capping there, keeping WUSA away. And once you have that corner safe, you got the angles covered, WUSA needs to go forwards against hull down T-32s, which is really a struggle.
I'm just so impressed they were able to put out so many fires in different areas, and it was just, if you look at that central capping area, it's just so easy to peek towards, so easy to get the resets on, but they would bring that timer down to 20 seconds, and every time it got close, they'd be the ones making the damage as well. It was very impressive to watch.
Yeah, I think, WUSA was close to getting back into it. They were winning the peaks in a lot of places, but the problem was they just didn't do anything with the kind of advantage they had. They let Bishu come off really in that 5100, who just peeked around. You can see Papa was in that 5916, putting more pressure on in the cap. So I think WUSA had to make a decisive move, but they seem to lack firepower. Too many IS-3s, not enough 5100s. They didn't have that momentum just to go forwards and just focus down the low tanks from Utopia.
Yeah, and let's look back at Mooka's move there and what happened towards him in that T-32. And you can see in the background, Papa just trying to keep their attention taut towards every single angle of this map. And while this happened, we saw Bishu slowly finding his way around, and that T-32 did actually pay off quite nicely to a degree.
It did. It really kept WUSA back there. I think at this point, about 30 seconds beforehand, WUSA should have just pushed on McMoney and Mucker, taken them down, because they really have no other options. They just lose so many engagements, so many one-on-ones. So Nictar finally decides to get into the battle from behind. But when you consider Bishu did 1.8k and Nictar did about 1.1k, you can see both players are playing the same role, two 5100s in the battle, and you can see the disparity between the two.
Yeah, 4-1 now. Utopia are in the lead, and there is that disparity there, as you mentioned, not only between what you're highlighting, but in general the teams from the last two maps currently. And, well, Utopia on match point, looking to close out this time. WUSA have to turn up. They have to make at least an impression here, because so far they've been pretty much trailing behind. And has there been any change in lineup for them? No
change in lineup. WUSA sticking to their guns, 5100 IS-3s and a T-37 Vitline playing that T-54. I think that was a point I missed there. Vitline just got cancelled out in that T-54 thanks to Bishu. Yep. Basically just going aggressive in the 5100 and having only Siege to support him. So that's a big point, a tier 8 going down for basically a couple of early resets. Really not great. Now WUSA on match point, getting 5-1 by Utopia would be disastrous, especially on the map they chose. They have to try and make something work.
You'd assume they have something in mind. This time the battle going down towards the northeastern side, at least for Utopia, going to draw those lines up towards the far northern side. The T-32 getting into position now, joining Papa up here, but we've seen before they're able to almost full cap this sometimes, but the Lions having none of that.
Yeah, but most teams that actually get the resets on this cap have an artillery there, but Hallucinogen caught out in the middle of nowhere.
Oh my word.
2 nice shots onto him, a couple of low rolls actually. But yeah, as you said, the cap is now hard to reset. Mucker receives some damage, but WUSA doesn't have a 251 on the hill. They don't have an artillery, so they have to push.
This is kind of worrying. WUSA, I've seen teams of a higher caliber being caught out by this play. I've seen teams ignoring the fact that cap's going, because they'll assume they'll be able to get it. But then again, we've got Potomako and Hunter watching that cross. And if they go for this, they could be in trouble. 9 seconds left. They have to make the play. Roofy, where are you? They've got money in there. They've got Papa in there. They've got Mooka there. 4 seconds left. They have to get this job done. But Hunter and Potomako should be able to land some shots, but not enough. The reset comes in the last second. But look at the damage towards WUSA. It may be irrevocable by now. 6.4k. 6.1, and the cap continues. 1 second, they need another shot. They get it, but surely they can't bring this one back.
Oh yeah, this is going badly for WUSA. They're losing so much for actually getting the shells. Utopia has the cross. Utopia is so predictable, but they do it so well that the WUSA just falls into the lion's den and does a Nictar on reload. Looks like he's also going to fall.
Yeah, Durs is done. He's on 80 HP right now. Sure, Siege gets down Mooka, but this game is looking so decisively in Utopia's favor. Can there be any sort of value to be found here for WUSA as they continue forward? It looks like the resounding answer is no, but Lion on full HP, completely out of this battle, and just not being able to support his team here. Siege down to nothing, trying to make a run of it, but Papa doing what Papa does best. Those drive-bys really coming into place, and now that Lion 1v5 and 4 minutes left.
Yeah, he gets caught out as well, makes a shell against Shoku, but this is game over. WUSA, you know, falling once again to the predictability of UTOPIA. I keep on saying this. UTOPIA are so easy to read, but they do everything so well. They have everything down to a T. That they're just fantastic, and even when they do decide to innovate, they win. So it's great to see the team just continue on their fantastic win streak. And WUSA, 4 losses in a row now as Lion last one to fall. UTOPIA 5-1.
And UTOPIA deserve that. They've done this time and time again, yet it seems as though no one can get around it. It seems to work out. But I was impressed with their central cap. Now that was quite surprising.
Awesome. Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, they're obviously looking at the WGRU and seeing the way the teams control that central cap. Also, you know, having their own blend with Bishu. You know, there's a guy you can rely on just to go out and play as high with a 5100, and it's great to see. But again, you know, WUSA on Himmelsdorf, they let that last round slip, and then it went from bad to worse.
It really did. And as soon as that happened, you feel as though mentally they just weren't in that game.
Yep.
They just seemed slow to the responses, a little bit broken up and individual, sadly. As you can see here, even with it getting so close, at such a point, UTOPIA know they have to commit now. 2 seconds, 1 second, the reset comes in, but so much damage done by this point. It was almost over, just right here.
Yeah, and shout out to Shushoku, you know, he's been doing such fantastic work. I think he was the highest damage dealer on pretty much every single map on Himmelsdorf and on Ghost Town, so he's really starting to step up for his team. Couple of mistakes on Himmelsdorf, but we can negate those ones and just say he's a fantastic player. 2.1k in that last battle. Followed by Hunter Zord, who's also been playing very well, of course. But Lion, kind of out the battle, did 1.7k, about 500 of that was useless damage. But still, a lot of work to be done for WUSA right now.
Yeah, WUSA do not look anywhere near close to the team that was able to push on the better ones out there. That, you know, last season, or you know, during the WCG, any of these events, they do not look like that team. Especially not today. But anyway, looking outside of that game, we had a lot of one-sided results. However, some more deserving than others. Ding up against Kazna was the first game of the day, and Kazna just stamped down their authority.
Yeah, it's been a quick day. I mean, Kazna Crew 5-2. I didn't expect that one to be so one-sided towards Kazna. But again, I think it's more because in my mind I've always got that block on Kazna Crew where they always seem to play like bare minimum, scrape through, and then just excel in the offline phase where there's a lot of pressure. But this season they're really turning up. They're looking like they're a team that want to get first or second in that leaderboard. And then we had Virtus Pro versus No Mercy, a real big stomp.
Yeah, Virtus Pro just getting back into the form that we know them for, but they need to keep that up for the next upcoming couple of weeks if they want a chance at the top 3. And then to close out, as you just saw, UTOPIA against WUSA was a little one-sided. UTOPIA just kind of doing the job that was required, not giving away too much, and showing once again their strength on Ghost Town. However, there are more games coming up next week, and that's what it's all about in the future here and what we can put our eyes towards. And there's one incredible game there. I'm sorry, Strong. I'm sorry, UTOPIA. Virtus Pro and ASAP, I'm sure you're wonderful. But let's be honest, who doesn't just want to see Tornado Rocks against Supreme? Let's turn it into like a best of 20 or something. That would be absolutely insane. That's a big game.
That's a huge game. I mean, Tornado Rocks have been going so well this season, from Polite People to Tornado to getting, you know, a lot of 5-4s, a lot of 4-5s, and then just absolutely smashing the board with WUSA on Tuesday. They're going from strength to strength, and I think you'll see Supreme tested. But, you know, aside from that, to be fair, Strong CM versus UTOPIA, 2 massive Polish teams, could be interesting as well.
At least you're trying to find, you know, a nice little bit of silver lining. There's me just wanting that last game of the day, but still, you guys obviously have your fan favourites out there. And speaking of fan favourites, Melly, how's the crowd been?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Brilliant.
Yes. Of course, they're always awesome, Ollie. Or do you want to say
No, they are brilliant. They are brilliant.
They are?
He's not that brave.
Sure?
Fantastic crowd.
Yeah, so
I don't get to see Twitch chat, which is a bit of a shame.
It is, because it's a fun place to be, at least in our channel, which I'm really happy about. So people, thank you so much for participating, for getting involved that much, for voting, and the vote ended, by the way, 61% for UTOPIA. Ooh. So, people at home, knew it again. You've been right 3 times today, and I'm really, really proud of you. Thank you for keeping me happy during their time of work. I'm just enjoying my time here.
Yeah, Melly just chills out. She's just sitting there grinning the whole time and just looking at Kappas.
Because people make me happy. It's awesome. So as said, thank you for getting involved so much. The winners will of course be announced. And yeah, the next team vote will be on Tuesday.
Exactly, and Tuesday is the day where the big game's going to go down. Supreme up against Tornado Rocks and 2 others that I'm sure will be really, really good, and you should watch them as well. But you want to turn up for that one. I don't care what you have to do. I don't know if you need to hire a nanny to look after your kids. Take the time off work. If you're working night shifts.
Buy a second router.
Exactly. Do something. Make sure you do not miss that, because that will be absolutely phenomenal. First against second place so far in this league. I can't wait for it personally. So guys, do make sure you tune back in on Tuesday at the same time as ever. And if you're too lazy to do that, hit the follow button just down below on Twitch. Guys, it's been incredible today. Hopefully see you on Tuesday.